Hello everyone, welcome back to Oni-chan. At this moment, the wind Hashira and the serpent Hashira are observing an ancient abandoned castle. As they realize this is the demon's stronghold, it makes the wind Hashira uneasy. It turns out many villagers have been captured by the demons and taken into the castle. Suddenly, the serpent Hashira sees a girl being abducted by a demon, so they immediately chase after him. At this moment, the demon also senses someone following him, thus, he quickly runs inside. When the serpent Hashira and wind Hashira arrive, they immediately sense that there are many demons here, so, a demon attacks. But, he is quickly defeated by the serpent Hashira. The demons then collectively attack them. However, they are all easily defeated by the wind Hashira. They swiftly defeat the demon horde. At this moment, the serpent Hashira instructs the two young men to go back, as they realize this place is very dangerous. Suddenly, the wind Hashira hears the cries for help of a girl. But, he sees many demons here. The wind Hashira immediately uses wind breathing. With just one strike, he annihilates all the demons. But still, many other demons appear. The serpent Hashira then employs serpent breathing, and he too easily defeats the demon horde. The demon sees that they are very strong. He realizes they are high-ranking Hashira members of the Demon Slayer Corps. So, he quickly runs away. When the wind Hashira pursues, he is continuously blocked by the demon horde. But as they appear, their numbers grow increasingly large. Thus, the serpent Hashira decides he will block the demon horde to allow the wind Hashira to rescue the girl. He then employs the third form of serpent breathing and easily defeats the demons. While the wind Hashira catches up with this demon, he orders the demon horde to attack. Unexpectedly, with just one sword strike, the wind Hashira defeats them, making the demon annoyed, so he immediately throws the girl away. Luckily, the serpent Hashira manages to catch the girl. The wind Hashira immediately pursues the demon, but they end up falling into the Infinity Castle, which surprises them both, because there are so many demons here. But, the wind Hashira still tries to attack this demon. Unexpectedly, they let him escape. At this point, both of them don't know where they are, because there are so many demons there. Meanwhile, Kanao has just completed her mission and returned. This makes the three girls very happy. So, Kanao goes to find Shinobu, and she tells her about what happened at the swordsmith village. Thanks to Mitsuri, Muichiro, and Tanjiro, they were able to defeat two upper ranks. But, what they did not consider is that Nezuko can withstand sunlight, something that Muzan has always desired. So, he will surely try every means to capture Nezuko. Now, Shinobu has to return to the main headquarters, to attend the emergency meeting of the Hashira. So, she asks Kanao to help her protect and take care of Nezuko. On Tanjiro's side, he has regained consciousness. When he learns that the swordsmith village has been relocated, and that everyone is safe, it makes Tanjiro feel relieved, because the battle with the two upper ranks was so fierce. Their victory and survival are already miraculous. If the swordsmith village has been relocated, then the demons won't be able to cause trouble for them anymore. While this young man is still surprised, since Tanjiro was unconscious for 7 days, but now he's stable and able to eat. While Mitsuri and Muichiro were only unconscious for 2 days, and they've recovered, so he thinks Tanjiro is gradually reaching the level of a Hashira. But he's even more surprised when he learns that Nezuko can stand under sunlight, something demons cannot do. Tanjiro also doesn't know why she can do that. Meanwhile, the Hashira are gathering together to prepare for the emergency meeting. The wind Hashira is surprised that Mitsuri and Muichiro have defeated two upper ranks, making him feel envious, as he hasn't encountered upper ranks yet. Suddenly, the serpent Hashira inquires about Mitsuri's wound, making her very happy. The stone Hashira realizes that if more Hashira were to die, their Demon Slayer Corps would be in danger. Shinobu and Giyu are also curious why Mitsuri's and Muichiro's wounds can heal so quickly. At this moment, Amane arrives. She says she will take over her husband's role in leading this meeting, because Kagaya's condition is currently very severe. She realizes that Muzan will stop at nothing to capture Nezuko. Therefore, a large-scale, all-out battle is about to break out. At this point, she informs Mitsuri and Muichiro about the signs that appear on their bodies when fighting upper ranks, similar to previous swordsmen who have cornered Muzan before. It's called the Demon Slayer mark, which surprises everyone, as this is the first time they've heard of it. When someone awakens the Demon Slayer mark, then, it will also help those around to begin awakening. She realizes, the first person to manifest the Demon Slayer mark isn't the pillars, it's actually Tanjiro. Then, it's Mitsuri and Muichiro's turn. Mitsuri feels very proud, so she tells everyone about her experience with the Demon Slayer mark, which shocks everyone because she also doesn't know how to awaken the Demon Slayer mark. But Muichiro tells everyone, while he was being poisoned, he tried to control his breathing. Inadvertently, he recalled his memories, and his emotions surged, causing Muichiro's heart rate to increase to 200. Even his body temperature rose to 39 degrees, causing him to have a fever after the battle. The Wind Hashira feels this is too simple. Amane realizes that awakening the Demon Slayer mark is necessary for the Hashira, so they must strive to train to awaken their own Demon Slayer mark. After the meeting ended, Giyu was about to leave, but he was stopped by Shinizu and Obanai, as they needed to plan their training. However, he still wanted to leave, and saying he's different from them immediately angered Shinizu, thinking he was being looked down upon. When Shinizu was about to seize Giyu, the stone Hashira applauded. Unexpectedly, he created pressure on everyone, as he wanted everyone to sit down and discuss together. Meanwhile, Tanjiro is still eating a lot to recover quickly, while Zenitsu has just completed his mission and returned. So, he was welcomed by these three girls, making him very happy. Zenitsu thought they missed him dearly, but they said, "We don't remember anything about him at all." However, they were very happy that Zenitsu returned safely. Suddenly, Zenitsu sees Nezuko, and she says, "Welcome back." This shocks Zenitsu, because Nezuko's voice is too adorable, which makes Zenitsu very excited and wanting to marry Nezuko. But Nezuko says, "Welcome back, Inosuke," which disappoints Zenitsu, because Nezuko doesn't remember his name at all. Meanwhile, Tanjiro is wondering where Inosuke has gone, because earlier, Inosuke taught Nezuko how to call his name. Suddenly, Hotaru finds Tanjiro. It turns out he has finished forging a sword for him, making Tanjiro very happy, while Hotaru is very excited, and he tells Tanjiro to look at the sword's blade. This surprises Tanjiro, because this sword is very special. Hotaru says it has been forged from the finest metal. Tanjiro sees the word "destroy" on the blade. Hotaru says the previous owner of this sword, he engraved that word on the sword, and only the Hashira can engrave words on the sword, which surprises Tanjiro. Suddenly, Hotaru gets angry, because he hasn't finished sharpening the sword yet. So, Tanjiro used the sword to fight, which made him feel sorry for the sword. Thus, he had to sharpen it again from scratch, after threatening Tanjiro. Then, Hotaru left. At this moment, Genya scolded Tanjiro for being too noisy. Suddenly, Inosuke burst into the room and made a mess, making the room even noisier, leaving Genya feeling helpless. It turns out he came to announce that the training camp was about to begin, which surprised Tanjiro. Inosuke said only strong people could participate in this training camp. On the side of the Hashira, they were finishing planning for the training camp. 3 days later, they would begin, because they needed to become stronger immediately, before Muzan acted to capture Nezuko. So, it's called Hashira training, which excited everyone. And he also asked the former Hashira for help. On Zenitsu's side, he was feeling bored, because he had just returned from a mission and had to join the training. But Tanjiro was very excited, because they would be trained by the strong Hashira. That was the quickest way for him to become stronger. But Zenitsu was very angry, because he still hadn't been given a chance to rest. So, Zenitsu left in frustration. But Tanjiro thanked him, because in the battle with upper rank 4, thanks to the thunder breathing technique that Zenitsu taught him, Tanjiro was able to defeat upper rank 4, which made Zenitsu very happy. He no longer felt annoyed with Tanjiro. On Tengen's side, he was trying to train the demon slayers, to make them stronger for the fight against demons, which left them very tired. Despite his strictness, Tengen's 3 wives felt he was full of vitality. So, they cooked rice for everyone, but no one had the energy to eat anymore. He said that the Hashira training would be much more difficult. It turns out Tengen would take care of physical training, while Muichiro would train about speed, Mitsuri will train flexibility, Obanai will focus on swordsmanship, Shinizu will train combat skills, and Himejima will handle physical conditioning. So, after this training course, will help them become much stronger. On the Wind Hashira's side, he has pushed everyone to their limits. The Love Hashira has also instilled fear in them. The Serpent Hashira and Mist Hashira are also training the Demon Slayers diligently. On the Stone Hashira's side, he has them sitting under the waterfall. At this moment, Tanjiro received a letter. They informed him that Giyu wouldn't participate in the Hashira training. Meanwhile, Amane informed Kagaya that the Hashira training had begun. and they needed to prepare for the upcoming battle. At this moment, Kagaya is very weak, so he still thanks Amane for always being by his side and taking care of him. On Tamayo's side, she is researching Nezuko's blood. Suddenly, a crow arrives to find her. It turns out it's Kagaya's messenger, which surprises her, because the Demon Slayer Corps can locate her. The crow informs Tamayo that Kagaya wants to cooperate with her, because they also have someone knowledgeable about pharmacology on their side. They want to collaborate to research Nezuko's abilities. This way, the Demon Slayer Corps will be able to quickly defeat Muzan. Suddenly, Yushiro sensed an intruder, so he immediately went to find Tamayo. At that moment, Tamayo was still suspicious of Kagaya. She realized that Yushiro was still safe. Kagaya said that Shinobu was very knowledgeable about the demon body and pharmacology, so she could help Tamayo complete her research. He was certain that this time they would defeat Muzan, and Kagaya invited Tamayo to the Demon Slayer Corps headquarters. After Kagaya left, Yushiro was very worried, because their residence had been discovered. He suggested they leave, but Tamayo realized that Nezuko's immunity to sunlight had given them a new breakthrough, so she decided they would move. She believed that this time she would complete her research. This would be their final relocation, and they would go to the Demon Slayer Corps headquarters. At this time, Tanjiro had received Kagaya's letter. Kagaya inquired about his health. Kagaya said that his illness was very severe, thus, he could not find Giyu. He wanted Tanjiro to help him talk to Giyu, because Giyu was the only one not participating in Hashira training. So, Tanjiro decided he would talk to Giyu. The next morning, Aoi asked Tanjiro where he was planning to go. Tanjiro said that he wanted to meet an important person. Suddenly, Tanjiro asked Aoi how to converse with a solitary person. But Aoi did not know either. However, Aoi prepared a rice ball for Tanjiro, because he needed to maintain his strength. This made Tanjiro happily set off, so he went to Giyu's house. While Giyu was thinking whether to let Tanjiro in or not, Tanjiro immediately entered the house, surprising Giyu. At that moment, Tanjiro persuaded Giyu to join Hashira training, and he asked Giyu to help train him, but Giyu immediately refused. Tanjiro sensed that Giyu was angry. It turned out Giyu was angry because Tanjiro had not mastered water breathing. Giyu wanted Tanjiro to become the water Hashira, but Tanjiro had switched to using sun breathing, so he apologized to Giyu. Nevertheless, he still followed the techniques of water breathing. Giyu said that the position of water Hashira was vacant, which surprised Tanjiro, because Giyu himself was the water Hashira. But he said he was not the water Hashira, which surprised Tanjiro. So, Giyu told Tanjiro to go home. However, Tanjiro was determined to stay and persuade Giyu. By evening, Giyu saw Tanjiro sleeping here, which made him irritated, so he left. But Tanjiro still chased after Giyu. Every day, Tanjiro kept trying to persuade Giyu, causing him to lose sleep. Giyu didn't know how to make Tanjiro leave, thus, he decided to tell Tanjiro the truth. I did not pass the final selection. This surprised Tanjiro. It turned out that Giyu had participated in the final selection with Sabito, and they were close friends. During the final selection, Sabito killed many demons on that mountain, while Giyu was injured by a demon, which made him terrified. But Sabito saved him. Sabito realized there was still a powerful demon left. Thus, he entrusted Giyu to others, to fight that demon alone. However, Giyu lost consciousness. When he woke up, he had passed the final selection, because Giyu had survived for 7 days on the mountain. But, he heard that Sabito had died, which left Giyu in despair. He felt unworthy, because Giyu couldn't kill any demons. So, Giyu decided not to participate in Hashira training. After hearing Giyu's story, it surprised Tanjiro. He sensed Giyu's deep anguish, as Giyu always blamed himself for Sabito's death in his place, and if Sabito were alive, Giyu believed he would have become an excellent demon slayer. This reminded Tanjiro of Rengoku, because Rengoku also sacrificed himself to save him. This filled Tanjiro with deep regret. He realized that Giyu had always been trying to survive, and he continued to blame himself. So, Tanjiro said to Giyu, "Do you remember what Sabito entrusted to you?" Immediately made Giyu remember when Sabito slapped him, because Giyu wanted to die in place of his older sister who protected him. Sabito said, "Your sister sacrificed herself to protect you, and entrusted the future to you." Therefore, Giyu realized that he had lacked determination all this time. Meanwhile, Tanjiro was worried that his words might continue to hurt Giyu. So, he decided to take Giyu out for noodles. On the other side, Shinobu was preparing incense for her sister, and Shinobu said she wouldn't participate in Hashira training, which surprised Kanao. At this point, Shinobu told Kanao about the demon who killed her sister. On Tengen's side, he was still training the demon slayers, but he was very strict, pushing them to train physically at a high intensity. This left them exhausted, feeling like it was training in hell. Tanjiro had recovered by now, so he immediately went to find Tengen, which made him very happy. Tengen learned that Tanjiro had continued to fight upper ranks, and he could still survive in return. So, Tengen decided to test Tanjiro. Tanjiro joined the training session, unexpectedly, surpassing everyone easily, which astonished them. By lunchtime, Tanjiro reunited with Tengen's 3 wives, making them very happy. They then gave Tanjiro lunch. While the others were very tired, they were so exhausted that they had no energy to eat. That evening, 2 demon slayers were on patrol. Thinking there would be no demons appearing tonight, suddenly, a demon eye was watching them. The next morning, Tanjiro continued training, easily surpassing Tengen's physical exercises, which amazed everyone. Tanjiro's endurance was astonishing. By lunchtime, they asked Tanjiro, "Are the upper ranks really that strong?" Tanjiro said, "They are very strong," and he described the strength of the upper ranks to them, which frightened them. So, they began to admire Tanjiro. At this point, Tengen devised the next exercise. They had to run a lap around the mountain, which left everyone feeling discouraged. But Tanjiro remained enthusiastic. At that moment, Tanjiro sensed that all the Hashira were really good people, and he remembered the noodle eating contest with Giyu. If Giyu lost, he would have to participate in Hashira training. Even though Tanjiro was already full, he still tried his best to beat Giyu. On Shinizu's side, he made an appointment to meet Obanai. They were worried that the demon slayers they were training might not be strong enough to fight an upper-ranked demon. Obanai realized Shinizu was thinking about their previous mission, where they had accidentally wandered into Infinity Castle. There were a great number of demons, so they suspected it was the den of demons. Afterward, Shinizu returned to check the place several times, but he didn't find anything. Obanai noticed that the demons in the city had disappeared. Thus, he realized they were gathering their forces to search for Nezuko. He sensed a very dangerous omen approaching, which thrilled Shinizu. He decided to team up with Obanai for the fight. On Tanjiro's side, he helped Tengen's 3 wives cook, so they brewed tea for Tanjiro. At this point, they thanked Tanjiro for the battle at the entertainment district, because thanks to Tanjiro's group, they were able to survive alongside their husbands. They urged Tanjiro, "Please defeat Muzan." Tanjiro agreed with them. Tengen then said they would undergo special practical combat training, so he instructed everyone to go up the mountain. This made everyone worried because it was very dark on the mountain. Tengen would pretend to be a demon and attack them. While Tanjiro's mission was to protect everyone, suddenly, someone was struck down, causing great concern among the group. Tanjiro saw many people had been incapacitated, so he immediately tried to locate Tengen. At that moment, Tengen appeared before them, frightening the young man. However, Tengen swiftly subdued him. Tanjiro warned everyone that Tengen could anticipate all their attacks, so they needed to regroup together. However, Tengen immediately launched another attack. Tanjiro intercepted his strike, which delighted Tengen. He urged Tanjiro to fight him with all his might. Everyone watched as Tanjiro could hold his own against a former Hashira, which surprised them. Tengen realized Tanjiro had grown stronger than before. Suddenly, everyone rallied to support Tanjiro together, which made Tanjiro very happy, so they fought together. Finally, they were still defeated by Tengen. He then scolded them for being too weak, as they let a retired individual defeat them. However, one trainee felt that fighting a Hashira was too much for them, but they still hoped that the Hashira and Tanjiro could defeat Muzan, and everyone would give their utmost support. Seeing the determination of the trainees made Tengen very pleased. The next morning, they endeavored to train even harder. He realized Tanjiro had nothing more to learn here, so he allowed him to leave. Tengen said, "If we want this battle to end, we need to defeat Muzan." Therefore, Tengen entrusted the mission of defeating Muzan to Tanjiro. Thus, Tanjiro departed. At this moment, he arrived at Muichiro's location, but he saw Muichiro training the trainees rigorously, which left them exhausted. Muichiro continued to attack them, however, he moved too quickly. They couldn't defeat him. Suddenly, Muichiro spotted Tanjiro, which made him very happy. At this moment, Muichiro's raven continuously scolded the trainees, as they were too weak. Meanwhile, Tanjiro asked Muichiro to train him, so Muichiro led Tanjiro to meet his swordsmith. Kanamori saw that Tanjiro had recovered. This made him very happy. Suddenly, Muichiro handed Tanjiro a sword, and he told Tanjiro to grip the sword tightly. Muichiro threw a paper airplane at the sword. Unexpectedly, the paper airplane split the sword in half. This surprised Tanjiro, because this sword was very sharp. It turns out Muichiro invited Kanamori here, so he could help maintain the swords. By evening, Muichiro continued training them. This trainee became angry and attacked Muichiro, but he was easily defeated by Muichiro. Muichiro scolded him for letting emotions control him. If this were a fight with a demon, he would surely die. Thus, Muichiro's training session ended. A trainee asked Tanjiro, "Could you ask the Mist Hashira to train us less rigorously?" But Tanjiro said the toughest one is still Muichiro, because he had to train relentlessly on his own. At this point, everyone still felt Muichiro was too strict. Suddenly, Tanjiro saw Muichiro stepping outside. It turns out he goes outside at this time every day, inside the town. There are many demon eyes of a new upper four, and she saw Muichiro. At this moment, Shinizu and Obanai were fighting each other. Unexpectedly, they ended up in a draw. Suddenly, Muichiro arrived to join them. It turns out every evening, the Hashira train for combat here. Thus, Shinizu and Obanai decided to train with Muichiro. So, both of them attacked him. After finishing their training, they were all very exhausted. Obanai asked Muichiro, "How was your training today?" Muichiro then told them, "Today, Tanjiro came to train at his place," surprising them, because they didn't like Tanjiro. They vowed that if they encountered him, they would show Tanjiro the strength of the Hashira. The next morning, Muichiro continued training the trainees. However, he easily defeated all of them in combat. At this point, Muichiro instructed them to fight with real swords. This made the trainee worried. He couldn't even attack Muichiro, but Muichiro realized he had controlled his emotions. It turns out every day he saw Muichiro come back covered in wounds. So, he realized Muichiro trained much harder than he did. At this point, Muichiro acknowledged they had made progress. Thus, he hoped they could survive when fighting demons. Many days later, Tanjiro fought Muichiro, surprising Muichiro, because Tanjiro's fighting skills had improved, and Muichiro had nothing more to teach him. Muichiro suggested Tanjiro could go to the next Hashira's place. This surprised Tanjiro, as he had only been here for 5 days, while others still had to stay here for training, disappointing them. Suddenly, Tanjiro invited Muichiro to paper airplane throwing contest. As he knew Muichiro's hobby was throwing paper airplanes, if Muichiro lost, he wasn't as strict with the trainees anymore. So, they all started throwing paper airplanes. But, Tanjiro's paper airplane veered off course. Thus, he lost. Suddenly, these trainees all wanted to compete in a paper airplane throwing contest with Muichiro, making them very happy. Tanjiro realized Muichiro had become closer to the students. After Muichiro showed them how to fold paper airplanes, they managed to make them fly high into the sky, which made them very happy. In the evening, Tanjiro informed Muichiro that Muzan was targeting Nezuko, so he needed to become stronger to protect her. It turned out Tanjiro had sent Nezuko to his master for care. Muichiro said, "Let's defeat Muzan together." The next day, Tanjiro went to Mitsuri's place. Suddenly, Tanjiro smelled honey. Mitsuri was actually raising bees to make buttered pancakes. So, Mitsuri took Tanjiro to eat buttered pancakes and drink black tea. The buttered pancakes looked delicious, making Tanjiro delighted. Mitsuri even fed him herself, which made Tanjiro very happy. Suddenly, Mitsuri gave Tanjiro a pink outfit. It turned out all trainees here had to wear this attire. So, Mitsuri taught them dance, to help them increase their body flexibility. Seeing Mitsuri stretching the other trainees, made Tanjiro worried. Now, it's Tanjiro's turn. It caused him a lot of pain. After training with Mitsuri, Tanjiro went to Obanai's training place, which he was very excited about. But, Obanai said, "I will kill you," because Obanai knew Tanjiro had enjoyed training with Mitsuri so much. It turned out Mitsuri had previously written a letter to Obanai, and she had talked a lot about Tanjiro, which made Obanai jealous of Tanjiro, while Tanjiro didn't understand why he hated him. So, Obanai took Tanjiro to the training place, which surprised him, because all the trainees were bound there. He told Tanjiro to wield his sword here, and avoid these trainees to practice swordsmanship. Tanjiro asked what crime they had committed. It turned out Obanai had bound them because they were too weak, which angered him. At this point, Obanai demonstrated his sword skills to Tanjiro. Seeing Obanai's sword speed, this surprised Tanjiro. When it was Tanjiro's turn, it made everyone worried, because they feared Tanjiro might accidentally hit them. Seeing Tanjiro hesitate in wielding his sword decisively, because he was afraid of hitting the other trainees, made Obanai furious, so he decided to become Tanjiro's opponent. But Tanjiro still hesitated, and he ended up getting struck by Obanai. However, Tanjiro did not give up and continued training. He saw that Obanai's swordsmanship was very peculiar, as his sword could twist and turn like a snake. Tanjiro still hesitated at this point. By evening, he was still trying hard to train. Then, they went bathing together. But, seeing the water made them worried, because their wounds stung intensely in the water. The next morning, Tanjiro resumed training with Obanai, but he was still defeated by Obanai. By evening, Tanjiro continued to bathe. After 4 days, Tanjiro began to improve, so he imagined himself fighting Obanai in a forest. And Tanjiro was able to block Obanai's attacks. Unexpectedly, Tanjiro even tore Obanai's shirt. Finally, Tanjiro completed his training. So, Obanai allowed him to leave, but he warned Tanjiro not to flirt with Mitsuri. At this point, Tanjiro arrived at Shinizu's place. Suddenly, he saw Zenitsu looking very scared. It turned out Zenitsu was trying to escape, but Shinizu caught him and immediately knocked him unconscious. Shinizu told Tanjiro to carry Zenitsu back. At this point, Tanjiro asked him to train him, but Shinizu didn't like Tanjiro, while Tanjiro didn't like him either, because he had attacked Nezuko, which annoyed Shinizu. Now, Shinizu trained Tanjiro and the trainees in combat, so he understood why Zenitsu was scared. Shinizu showed no mercy to them, and didn't even allow them breaks, so Tanjiro got punched in the face by Shinizu. Now, Tanjiro was about to go bathe. Suddenly, he saw Genya talking to Shinizu, but Shinizu didn't acknowledge Genya as her younger brother. He even scolded Genya as untalented, because he couldn't use any breathing styles, and he chased Genya away. However, Genya told Shinizu that he had eaten demon flesh to fight, which surprised Shinizu. He immediately became furious, causing pressure on Genya and Tanjiro. Suddenly, Shinizu attacked Genya. Luckily Tanjiro managed to save him, thus, they were thrown outside. Zenitsu thought Shinizu was coming back, so he pretended to faint. At that moment, Shinizu was still furious with Genya. He said that if Genya left the Demon Slayer Corps, Shinizu would spare him. This made Tanjiro uncomfortable. He was determined not to let Shinizu drive Genya away. So, Shinizu punched Tanjiro in the stomach. But, Tanjiro held onto his hand tightly, and Tanjiro kicked Shinizu in the neck, surprising everyone. But, Shinizu immediately retaliated against Tanjiro, while Zenitsu was leading Genya away. He didn't understand why Shinizu was so angry, but Genya ended up punching Zenitsu, because he wouldn't let anyone insult his older brother. Then, Tanjiro and Shinizu received a reprimand from their superiors, and they were not allowed to train together anymore. Now, Tanjiro and Zenitsu were heading towards the place of the stone Hashira. Suddenly, they saw a waterfall. It turned out Inosuke was training there, which surprised both Tanjiro and Zenitsu. At that moment, Himejima appeared behind them. He began training Tanjiro and Zenitsu, saying they needed to improve their leg endurance, which would help them deliver more precise strikes, so they had to practice standing under the waterfall. Then, they trained with these 3 wooden shields. Finally, they had to push this large stone block around the mountain, which caused Zenitsu to faint, because he found this training regimen too difficult. Tanjiro helped Zenitsu down into the water. He immediately felt too cold, which frightened Zenitsu, but Murata advised him to embrace the stone block. Surprisingly, this made Zenitsu feel warmer. Tanjiro also struggled to move toward the waterfall, but he saw Inosuke trying very hard, so Tanjiro decided he would try hard too. Suddenly, he noticed Inosuke had fainted, thus, Tanjiro rushed to help him. Now, Tanjiro began standing under the waterfall. He felt the water pressure was too strong. Murata advised Tanjiro to chant the Nenbutsu to help him increase his concentration. So, Tanjiro chanted the Nenbutsu. After finishing the training, it left him very exhausted. Tanjiro felt like this training was akin to hell. Now, Tanjiro and everyone else had lunch, while Inosuke found Himejima very disagreeable. He acknowledged him as the strongest in the Demon Slayer Corps. Tanjiro also sensed this about him. However, Zenitsu was thinking that Himejima was lying, because he couldn't possibly push that enormous stone block, but then he saw Himejima effortlessly moving the stone block, which shocked Zenitsu, so they had to continue training. Tanjiro and Zenitsu stood under the waterfall, but Zenitsu got swept away by the water. Then, Tanjiro practiced lifting 3 large wooden shields. And he had only one training task left, while Upper 4 is still using their demon eyes to search through the town. Although she had spotted the demon slayers, Nikime still hadn't found Nezuko. However, Muzan was very pleased with Nikime, as she was helping him narrow down the search area. Nikime had her eyes watching the demon slayers closely. Meanwhile, Tanjiro was struggling to push the stone block, but he couldn't get it to move, causing him to fall. Suddenly, Tanjiro noticed that 3 people had given up, but he still encouraged them, making them very happy. Tanjiro continued to push the stone block, but the block still didn't budge. By noon, Tanjiro instructed everyone on making rice balls. They found Tanjiro's rice balls very delicious. Tanjiro mentioned he was the son of a charcoal seller, so he was skilled at controlling fire for cooking, which made everyone very happy. Tanjiro then remembered his family, and continued his training, but he still couldn't get the stone block to move. Suddenly, Genya came to find Tanjiro. Genya recognized that Tanjiro had helped him before, so he thanked Tanjiro. Genya saw that the mark on Tanjiro's forehead had become darker, but Tanjiro didn't realize this. Then, Genya also guided Tanjiro on how to push the stone block. When Genya left, Tanjiro tried again, so Tanjiro began to focus, and he recalled Genya's instructions, helping his heart rate and body temperature increase. Unexpectedly, the stone block moved a little. At this point, the trainees called Tanjiro back for dinner. Genya asked about Tanjiro's training results, but he hadn't succeeded yet. Genya asked if there was a way to make the mark on his forehead darker, but Tanjiro didn't know how to do that either. That night, Tanjiro continued his training. He realized he needed to push his emotions to the extreme, so he remembered his family and Rengoku. Unexpectedly, this caused Tanjiro's emotions to surge, and he managed to move the stone block. The demon slayer mark on Tanjiro's forehead also appeared. At this moment, Zenitsu and Inosuke arrived, surprising them. Because Tanjiro continued training, he continued to recall his family, helping the demon slayer mark on Tanjiro's forehead to keep appearing, and he was able to push the stone block, shocking Zenitsu and Inosuke. Because Tanjiro was able to move this large stone block, on Muzan's side, he is thinking about Kagaya's plan, and he wants to see his face, while Tanjiro was trying to maintain his demon slayer mark. To help him push the stone block further, Inosuke also didn't want to lose to Tanjiro, so he tried to push the stone block as well, making Zenitsu worried, because he thought he couldn't do it. Suddenly, his bird brought him a letter. At this point, Tanjiro was extremely exhausted, because he had managed to move the large rock very far. Suddenly, Tanjiro fainted due to dehydration. He thought he might die and bid farewell to everyone. Luckily, Himejima arrived in time with water for him. He was very happy, because Tanjiro had completed his training, and he was recognized by Himejima, because he prioritized saving everyone in the swordsmith village, while Nezuko's life was in danger. But Tanjiro said Nezuko was the one who made the decision. At that moment, Tanjiro thanked Himejima for bringing him water. Himejima felt that Tanjiro was very different from the other children. It turned out that Himejima had previously adopted orphan children. This made him very happy, because the children were very obedient and listened to him. So, Himejima was very satisfied with his current life. But one night, a boy was pursued by demons, because he didn't listen to Himejima and return home early. In fact, the boy even led the demon back to the temple, to save himself. That demon then entered the temple and killed the other children. Now, only one girl remained. So, Himejima was determined to protect that girl, and he fought desperately against the demon. Unexpectedly, Himejima won. The next morning, the villagers came, but the girl said he was a monster, and he killed everyone. However, Himejima didn't blame the girl, because he knew the girl's mind was in turmoil, and he only wanted a thank you from her. Then, Himejima was imprisoned. At this point, he realized, children always think only of themselves, because the demon's body had disappeared, so he became a murderer. Fortunately, Himejima was saved by Kagaya, helping him escape the death penalty. Therefore, Himejima felt that Tanjiro was very different, because in moments of danger, he always chooses to save others, and Himejima promised to help Tanjiro. so he wouldn't stray from his path. At this time, Genya informed Tanjiro that he had been accepted as Himejima's disciple, even though he had no particular talent. While Inosuke was intent on eating Zenitsu's fish, he was stopped by Tanjiro. Genya complained that he still hadn't completed the training exercise, so they started fighting each other, but Inosuke bragged that he was about to complete it, and he said Genya was useless. At this moment, Tanjiro brought food to Zenitsu. However, Zenitsu didn't want to eat. Tanjiro felt that Zenitsu was acting very strange, so he realized that Zenitsu was going through something. Even though Zenitsu knew that Tanjiro was a very good person, he still didn't ask Tanjiro for help, because he believed that only he could handle this matter. At this time, Tanjiro was on his way to where Giyu was. Suddenly, he saw Giyu and Shinizu fighting fiercely. Shinizu immediately used wind breathing to attack Giyu. Tanjiro realized that he could see their movements, so Giyu countered with water breathing. Unexpectedly, both of their swords broke. While Shinizu wanted to continue fighting unarmed, Tanjiro immediately intervened to stop them, because Tanjiro thought they were fighting over sweet rice balls, causing Shinizu to angrily punch Tanjiro unconscious. When Tanjiro regained consciousness, he saw Giyu beside him. At this moment, Giyu explained to Tanjiro that they were just training and sparring with each other. So, Tanjiro immediately apologized for interfering with them, because Giyu wasn't good at speaking. Next time, he would prepare sweet rice balls for Shinizu, and they could become closer to each other. At this time, Shinizu was still very angry with Tanjiro, because he always provoked him. Suddenly, Shinizu caught sight of Nakime's eye, which surprised him. Shinizu immediately realized there was an intruder. At this time, Muzan had found Kagaya's mansion, while Kagaya was suffering from a severe illness. Unexpectedly, Muzan entered his mansion, and appeared before Kagaya. However, Kagaya remained very calm and said, "So, you've come, Muzan." While Muzan was quite surprised, because the leader of the Demon Slayer Corps looked like that, Kagaya said, "Finally, I have met you, Muzan." This delighted him. For over 1,000 years, both his family and his own Demon Slayer Corps had been searching for Muzan, but he still had never appeared, because Kagaya had become blind. So, his wife described Muzan's appearance to Kagaya, while Muzan felt disinterested in Kagaya, because now he seemed very frail, not like what he imagined, as the leader of the Demon Slayer Corps. But, Kagaya said, "The doctor diagnosed my death half a year ago, but I can live to this day. It's because of the determination to defeat you." However, Muzan said, "That's just your dream, because today, I'll kill you." Suddenly, Kagaya told him. It turns out that he and Muzan share the same bloodline from thousands of years ago, because when Muzan turned into a demon, his family was cursed. All descendants born will be afflicted with illness and die early, so, only when they could defeat that demon, then, their family would no longer be cursed. Thus, they founded the Demon Slayer Corps to hunt down Muzan. But, Muzan didn't care about what Kagaya said, because he had killed thousands of people. However, there was no punishment for him. Suddenly, Kagaya asked, "What have you dreamed of for thousands of years?" While Muzan was feeling strange, because the leader of the Demon Slayer Corps was in front of him, but he didn't feel any hatred towards Kagaya. Suddenly, he saw Kagaya's two daughters playing, which made him feel very familiar and relaxed. Kagaya said, "Do you always dream of immortality?" So, Muzan admitted, his goal is indeed immortality when he captures Nezuko. Then, his dream will come true. At this moment, Muzan approached Kagaya, but Kagaya remained calm and said, "Immortality is the willpower of humans, because for thousands of years, the will of the Demon Slayer Corps has never disappeared, and many people have always opposed the cruelty of Muzan." Kagaya believed that, even if he were killed by him, the Demon Slayer Corps would still continue to exist, but for Muzan, it was different. If he died, then all the demons he created would also die, which made Muzan start to feel uncomfortable, so he decided to kill Kagaya. While all the Hashira were running quickly to Kagaya's location, because they realized he was in danger, and Tanjiro also went with Giyu. It turns out earlier the Hashira had discussed among themselves. They would send 2 people to protect Kagaya, but Himejima said Kagaya did not agree with this, because he did not want to use the strength of the Demon Slayer Corps for himself alone. At this moment, everyone was anxiously running to Kagaya's location, and they saw his mansion, while Muzan was planning to kill Kagaya, causing Kagaya's mansion to burst into flames, creating a massive explosion, shocking everyone present. Tanjiro detected a strong smell of blood and flesh inside. Unexpectedly, Muzan was also engulfed in flames and thrown outside, but but he immediately recovered, making him furious, because Kagaya's face before his death was still smiling. It turns out Kagaya himself caused that explosion, even sacrificing his wife and children. So, Muzan realized he had underestimated Kagaya, because he had prepared explosives and mixed in small weapons, increasing the damage of the explosion, slowing down Muzan's recovery speed. He realized Kagaya still had another plan, because he was just bait, to lure the 8 Hashira here. At this moment, Muzan's body was still recovering. Suddenly, flesh-like objects surrounded him. Muzan realized these were blood demons, so, he was attacked by sharp spikes, making him unable to move. Muzan didn't know whose blood demon this was. Suddenly, he was stabbed in the abdomen by Tamayo, surprising Muzan. He didn't understand why she was here, and Tamayo told him she had injected a demon-to-human transformation drug into his body, making Muzan furious, because Tamayo had secretly planned with him. It turns out Tamayo hated Muzan, because he turned her into a demon. She even ate her own husband, just to survive and see her child grow up. But, now she would atone by dying with Muzan. Suddenly, Himejima appeared behind Muzan, and immediately attacked Muzan's head. At this moment, Himejima remembered the first time he met Kagaya, because Kagaya recognized he was not a murderer, which moved Himejima and earned his respect for Kagaya. It turns out, 5 days earlier, Kagaya had predicted that Muzan would come here, so, he decided to act as bait, for Himejima to defeat Muzan. Because Himejima respects his leader, he had to follow Kagaya's orders. At this point, Muzan's head had healed. Kagaya knew that Muzan's regeneration ability was very high, so, his plan was to keep Muzan detained until sunrise. When Himejima continued to move forward to attack Muzan, he immediately intervened to stop him. Suddenly, Shinizu also arrived. Seeing the mansion on fire made him very angry. At this point, everyone had also arrived here. They realized something had happened to their leader. Tanjiro just saw Muzan, which surprised him. Himejima immediately told everyone that he was Muzan, shocking them all. So, they all used their breathing styles together, and simultaneously attacked Muzan. But, Muzan remained unconcerned. Suddenly, they all fell into the Infinity Castle. Unexpectedly, Genya, Inosuke, and the others were also transported here. Surprising everyone, they didn't know where this place was. Meanwhile, Zenitsu remained calm, because he would finish his task here. At this moment, everyone was falling down, while Tanjiro was facing Muzan, making him delighted, because this place will be their hell, and tonight he will kill them all. Suddenly, Tanjiro continues to fall down, but he says, "I will send you to hell, Muzan." So, Muzan immediately challenges him. "Let me see your abilities, Tanjiro." Today's video ends here. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel to support Oni-chan in future videos. Thank you for watching. Love you all.